And good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the MCU Review. I am one of the MCU Review panelists, Elliot Serrano, joined as always by the host of Caffeinated Comics.
And another host of this, because you're one, therefore there must be more.
There must be more. John Clark. How you doing?
I'm all right. How are you doing?
Telling you. What is it about the talent on this show? Y'all decide to show up right before the countdown. I swear to God, it's like the producers at
hang around in the green room.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing you're in a better mood than we were on Caffeinated Comics last night when we both saw Black Adam.
Yes, we both saw Black Adam, but this is not.
This is not a podcast, and thank the Lord for that.
Yeah, there will be no Black Adam discussion tonight. Damn it. Good evening, Susan. Thank you for joining us as always. And thank you for everyone who's watching us on Facebook Live, YouTube, and Twitch. This is the last live stream, MCU Review live stream of 2022. We still have we have an episode of the MCU Review that has yet to go up on the podcast network. I do believe Black Panther.
No, we just did Black Panther. Black Panther just went up.
Oh, it just went up? Okay.
So we are caught up. And if you're listening to this now, we are all caught up. If you're listening to this on the Caffeinated Comics feed. But you're right. We are on the verge of Infinity War, which is an interesting place to stop the year.
Yeah. And today we're going to jump ahead just a bit. Because we've already done both Guardians of the Galaxy movies, so we're going to jump into what we're calling Guardians of the Galaxy 2.5, which is the holiday special. So that'll be fun. Good evening, Lehman. Also, thank you for joining us. A little side note. I want to mention this because I was very much touched by this. Apparently, Lehman made a donation over the holidays in my honor to the Anti-Cruelty Society. I was told that he made a donation in my honor.
That's nice because they pay you.
Eventually, at some point, yeah.
So it's like you're finally giving back.
Kind of, yes. So, Lehman, thank you so much for your generosity. I was not told how much it was, just that it was impressive. So I appreciate that. And also joining us tonight is and debuting a new drink, a custom cocktail for the MCU Review. It's our resident mixologist, Tom Jetner. How you doing, Tom?
Doing all right. I'm a little my stomach's been bothering me a little bit, so this is one without booze, but it should still be good.
Well, that I'm gonna say you always make really good looking, if not good looking, good tasting, good looking cocktails. So definitely. And let's why don't we talk about it real quick since you just joined us here. And for those, if you're watching on the live stream, you get to see these cocktails in question. If you're listening on the if you're listening on the podcast, you want to go to Review Cocktails on Instagram. So that's REVU Cocktails on the Instagram app. And so everyone can see it, I got to share the screen here. But Tom, why don't you tell us a little bit about today's themed drink?
So this is Santa's powerful flamethrower. And it's basically it's fairly simple, but it's a spiked hot chocolate. And it's hot chocolate with either tequila or mezcal added. But what's making it a little bit unique is I'm using the drinking chocolate from Dark Matter Coffee here in Chicago, which is a terrific local independent coffee chain.
Tom, which blend is that? Because they have a few really good ones.
This is the Sleepwalk drinking chocolate.
Yeah, I've had the unicorn blood many times in my espresso machine.
Oh yeah, I
switched to a Love Supreme, which I think I like even better.
I like that one. The Love Supreme. That's the dark roast, I believe, right?
Yeah, it's not quite as robust as unicorn blood, though.
No, yeah, but that's good. That's frequent. A frequent. I use that in my mocha pot a lot. But this is their Mexican style drinking chocolate, and they have it. It comes in the regular and the spicy variety with cayenne pepper, and that's actually the one that I gave the MCU ReVU crew a choice of regular or spicy, and Elliot was the only one brave enough to stand up for the spicy. Um,
I believe I said either one. So
oh, okay. Well, okay.
I backed a winner no matter what happened.
Okay. The good news is that each packet has, if you and Elliot want to share, each packet has 2 discs, each of which makes about 6 ounces of hot chocolate each. And it's nice. It's warming. It's not quite as sweet as a traditional hot chocolate, but it's very good. And I've topped it with a little bit of lightly shaken heavy cream. You can see this kind of Guinness-like head at the top of my mug here. The mug is from Koufax Coffee, Donuts, and Burritos in Los Angeles, where my brother lives. But it's very nice. It's warming, and it tastes really nice with tequila in it. When I tested it, as you can see in the picture, it was a very, very warming, satisfying drink to for the holidays, and a spicy one too. Hence the Santa's powerful flamethrower, which is also a lyric from the old '97 song in the holiday special that we'll be talking about.
Santa doesn't have a flamethrower.
No, but we do.
Well, so if you go visit the Instagram account REVU Cocktails, you will find all the different themed cocktails that our own Thomas Jetner has created for most every movie. Now, well, okay, not every movie. You didn't do an Iron Man one.
I gotta go. Yeah, I gotta go back and do the. I got all of them from Dark World on, so that means I gotta go back and. I guess I gotta just go back and do ones for the other ones.
Yeah, like an Iron Man. We would need a Hulk one.
That's the same thing Marvel Legends did. They went back and made the original ones after they had made all the new ones.
But if you go there,
Bridges Marvel Legends.
These are legendary cocktails. That's what we got. No, we don't want to get into trouble infringing on a trademark. But so if you go back to, again, Instagram.com/ReVU REVU Cocktails, you'll see all the different types of cocktails that Tom has created for many of the movies. Every once in a while, you get a video there, or an additional thing that Tom might throw on when you're in the mood. I saw you put on a couple extra thingies for the holidays.
Yes, a few extra kind of holiday thing. I just got my brother gave me one of my brothers gave me my Christmas present early, so I have a lovely set of 4 Nick and Nora glasses that I used to make a nice gin martini over the weekend, and that was good. I made a giant batch of homemade orgeat, which is the almond syrup. That's the key ingredient in a Mai Tai. So I already gave John a little, not John, I gave Dave his own. And I've also got sitting in my fridge. If anyone, I've got a ton of it in the freezer. So if anyone wants orgeat, it feels like making Mai Tais, you can hit me up. But John also has the punch that he's been waiting on. I actually had to redo it because it had been sitting in the fridge too long. So
that was the clarified milk punch. The clarified milk, does it eventually congeal back?
No, it started to get a little cloudy, and even though it's supposed to be good in perpetuity, I didn't want to risk it. So I just redid it, and Dave has the fresh version of it. So I have another version. I have a backup version in my fridge that I'll probably be posting on the Instagram page at some point as well.
Yeah, we just have to theme that. That could
theme that.
Yeah, let's say that's Captain America First Avenger drink.
Okay, we could do that.
We'll call it the Hydra Stomper.
Oh, there you go. Easy, no problem. Okay, so we just cracked off another one. I'll put up I'll have to put up a version of that. Also, okay, and I wanted to note if I have a link on the Instagram page for this week's drink. I have tagged on there Dark Matter Coffee in Chicago. So you can order all their stuff online. You can go to darkmattercoffee.com if you want to order Sleepwalk with Me hot chocolate, or John's aforementioned Unicorn Blend or Love Supreme. They also do collaborations with local charities like My Block, My Hood, My City. So always a good.
Yeah, they're really fantastic. They work. I've had them made them here with French presses. I made them with espresso machines. They work. They work really well. It's the kind where it's kind of like a microbrew out here. So there are just certain coffee shops that have it, and they'll have a dark matter sign. And no matter where I am in the city, I pull over. If I don't want coffee, I get beans.
All right, we're talking about food and coffee right now.
And FYI, folks, we do not get any sort of compensation from Dark Matter Coffee for this. We're just fans.
This is just an expression of love.
Yes, yes. Speaking of expressions of love, let me give an expression of love to my personal manager, P.L. Myers, the shot to the top, who's watching us on the Facebook Live. P.L. Myers of the Chicago Connection, the most dominant wrestling faction in modern history. They talk about the Four Horsemen. The Chicago Connection could take them. Thanks, PL, for coming on and listening and chiming in. And yeah, at some point I got to get my Chicago Connection shirt. Maybe Santa will bring it to me this coming weekend. All right, so let us jump in real quick before we get too much into the other stuff with our MCU 2-minute review. This is when, if you've never watched the show before, when every member of our panel gives a quick 2-minute summation of how they felt about that each particular episode's focus film. Of course, today we are talking about the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. Tom, we'll lead with you. What is your 2-minute review?
Enjoyable. It's just kind of nice to see the characters and hang out with them a little bit. It's nice to see Mantis get an expanded role in this, especially given some of the other actors are departing. I don't know what Pom Clementief's status is going forward with the MCU. But it's nice to get that particular character get a little more fleshed out. It's always nice to see space aliens interacting with normal human beings. And it's especially nice, as I was watching it last night, watching them drink in a bar and try to understand human social interactions. A great little cameo. You can call it more than a cameo. He's the MacGuffin of the story, is Kevin Bacon. Also it's always fun with the actors making fun of the acting profession trope of just like, we're liars and pretenders, and they put all this in Kevin Bacon, who's he's a movie star. He's wonderful, terrific actor. So it's funny hearing him kind of try to justify his own existence to superpowered space aliens. It's also, we get to see a little more in terms of the reach of Drax's power. Up to this point, we never knew exactly how powerful he was, but here he's leaping over gates and taking bullets like he's being tickled with a feather. So I thought the jokes were good as always. I don't know if it quite gets any better than the old 97's performance at the beginning of the movie, of just that Christmas as explained fourth hand to a group of space aliens. It's like an AI drawing Christmas Carol. It's like really weird. It's like weird and off, where you can kind of see the where you would have gotten it from, but all in all, it's great to see the whole gang again.
John,
I really like how simple this is. We didn't talk about it at Halloween, but this is our second Marvel special. We got Werewolf by Night at Halloween, which was really good, but it was another attempt at Marvel to be like, hey, here's a character we haven't done before. Here's a look at the Marvel Universe we haven't done before. Here's cameos from another character that we've never used before. And that was really good, but it didn't feel too different from things like Moon Knight. This was so relaxed and The story was that James Gunn had the idea while shooting Guardians 3, talked to Kevin Feige about it, and he was like, yeah, go ahead. So you can see that they used the same sets. This is the biggest set you'd ever see in a holiday special because it's made for a blockbuster movie. Like, you can look around, you're like, there's people on the catwalk back there. There's like 7 buildings. One of the things that I watched it again today, and one of the things that struck me is how simple the story is. You know, you have so many characters in the Guardians of the Galaxy, and it's just, they're just telling the Kevin Bacon story. There's not 7 subplots. You know, like Nebula and Rocket get a few jokes. Groot gets a few jokes. There's also lots and lots of hints to where Guardians 3 will go, and almost no explanation. Like, we're given, I don't even know if it's a spoiler for the film, but we're given like a major revelation about Mantis and Peter Quill, which might not factor into the movie at all. It could be something where James Gunn's like, I don't really have time in this for the movie, but it's something I want to do. It's not a big trailer, which is refreshing. And it doesn't go out of way to explain itself why Groot looks different, you know, why they have different costumes. They do look a little more comfortable. I feel like the last couple of movies, Chris Pratt has been kind of sliding back to Parks and Rec Chris Pratt. And Dave Bautista wears a shirt the entire time. I think, you know, there was a time when this was off the table. And certainly with James Gunn, this is his finale. He's already left and gone to DC, which, as we talked about yesterday, can only help. But this just felt really easygoing. And it was nice to not have something that was so loaded with Easter eggs and teases and Phase 5 mentions. Like, you could just lean back and enjoy this for 40 minutes.
So again, if you have not been listening to the Caffeinated Comics podcast, John and I did talk about it. It literally went up. We talked about it yesterday. It went on the Radio Misfits podcast network today. I have it posted on my Facebook page. You can also find it on the Caffeinated Comics page where we talk about Black Adam and James Gunn and all those things. So please feel free to check those other outlets out. As for my review of the MCU of the Guardians of the Galaxy special, I don't have a whole lot new to add than what you guys said, except to say that I watched it again maybe an hour before I came on, we came on air. I wanted to have it fresh in my head for once. And again, if you haven't watched it, it's only 45 minutes long. It's, as John said, a quick, breezy, relaxed, very direct story. It goes from point A to point B to point C. I call it a nice confection, to enjoy for the holiday. I will admit, though, the first time I watched it, Mantis kind of annoyed me, the way that her character was being played the first time through, because this is really the most we get of Mantis in any of the movies. So having her step out front and center, but also have to play it for comedy, I was a little taken aback by some of the screwy screwball comedy that it was. And then the second time around, I'm watching, I'm going, okay, yeah, she's really drunk right now. And so it's like, how does an alien behave when they're wasted drunk? Oh, of course, that's the way it worked. And I didn't find her voice so abrasive, her angry voice. So it was funnier. But there are the scenes, as you say, John, the revelations about Mantis and her relationship to Peter. It was in the beginning when the idea is first introduced to the very end when the revelation is made. I found it very touching. Hell, I was getting emotional watching it again. I'm like, and I knew what was going to happen. I'm like, oh man. Or maybe it's just because this time of year for the holidays, I get real sappy. So
sappy or seasonally depressed?
There's a difference.
6 of one, half dozen of the other.
Yeah, it's the type of weeping. That's the difference.
Weeping around Christmas. Yes, there we go.
That old standard carol, weeping around the Christmas tree.
Thank you, Lehman, for chiming in. It's cool that Kevin Bacon is now an actual character in the Marvel Universe that allows the potential for future cameos along the way. Yes! I kept waiting for my Mark Hamill cameo. Apparently, Mark Hamill
Well, there's somebody that looks like Mark Hamill, and there was a rumor going around that was, and Mark Hamill played it very coy.
Yeah.
But it actually wasn't. It was a little person that happens to have the same beard as Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
And you can see it in a long shot. But
I like the idea of actor cameos as themselves.
Yeah.
Like I've kind of for whatever reason I've had it in my head that Keanu Reeves should be a character in the MCU, not as any Marvel character, but as himself.
There have been rumors about Keanu Reeves playing something for the longest time.
But just have him be himself, but have all the villains be weirdly and mysteriously afraid of him. Like they just assume that he's actually John Wick or something like that, or Neo, but he's just himself.
Well, I love that not only is this Kevin Bacon, but it's the MCU Kevin Bacon. So yeah, he's scared by aliens, but his mind isn't blown because he lived through the snap with Thanos. Like he saw the Chitauri come to New York. He's seen the Steve Rogers musical. Maybe Kira Sedgwick was gone for 5 years. She has a voice cameo in this, but she's not in it. So I love the way he played it. Like he's feeling personally attacked and he's feeling creeped out that he's abducted, but it's none of those like, oh my God, aliens are real. And what does this mean? Like he's absorbed that already.
Because even when he's had, for those, again, if you haven't watched it, some mild spoilers along the way, but there's at one point when Mantis does her little trick on him to kind of like say, you're okay with it. You're coming with us and you're going to be yourself. And through that, he goes, it's even in all that, he still goes, hey, with all this, I'm pretty cool with it. This seems pretty cool, which to me is I would be, even if I were being abducted by aliens, getting to sit like in the cockpit of the ship and see the glorious expanse that is the galaxy or the universe. I'd be like, okay, this isn't cool how this is happening, but at the same time, this is cool. How often do you get to go out in outer space with aliens?
Yeah, the scene of him in the ship this time made me appreciate what a good actor Sean Gunn is becoming, because he plays really well at Kevin Bacon, and he just little subtle things, because it's his character, Kranich. Is
Kraglin.
I always forget how does he say it, Tom?
Kraglin.
Thank you. He's the one that kind of puts it together because they're disgusted about the fact that he's an actor. It's kind of like that Bug's Life turn, they're warrior bugs. It's Galaxy Quest for that 2 minutes, and but then as he's discussing like how much Peter cares about him and grew up with him, that like Kraglin just looks at Kevin Bacon, kind of smiles just a little, and I'm like, that's way more subtle than he's ever done. And I like the fact that he's front and center. The first film, he was really the motion capture for Rocket, and he was he's kind of the Ted Raimi to Sean Gunn. It's like, I'm going to put my brother in everything and beat the hell out of him. But so I like that he's come a long way. And even with his cameo in Love and Thunder, which we'll get to, there's a lot to explore with this character. So it kind of makes me more excited for him in Guardian 3. I feel like he's definitely progressed.
And he drops the whole thing that he now has the whistling arrow that he can control.
Well, he's got the full fin, and it's embedded in his head.
Yeah.
Well, we see that in Love and Thunder, but we get a lot of close-ups where you see the skin has grown around it, which I don't enjoy.
I was like, oh, I thought, wait, why does he have that on his head now? Oh, it's because you need that to control the arrow. And I was like, oh, okay. And I like that they just dropped that little bit in there.
Yeah, and that was a big part of the second one, was that Yondu had the prototype fin that he not get Baby Groot to find.
Yeah.
So they established that controls it better. That it's like the iPhone 14 of whistling arrows.
iPhone 14. And then, of course, yeah, you bring up Groot, where there are times when it's somebody in a rubber suit, and then for the close-ups, it's probably in a rubber suit, but they've also augmented it with some CGI because the face is way more expressive and does a lot more than you would expect someone in a rubber suit to do. Although animatronics these days are getting way better than they've been. But Vin Diesel is credited again, although I'm wondering if it was just his voice or if he actually got in the suit.
It was probably just his voice, I'm thinking. But this Groot has a different body type, and James Gunn said, yeah, he's like, I told you in the second one, Groot wasn't reborn. This is the son of Groot. So he's growing up a little differently.
Yeah.
But I kind of like that he's kind of built like the Thing in this. And we're not going to get a Thing for a while, so this is as good as we're going to have.
Until Groot is gone, and then Thing will come in and, take over the cute Rocky character spot, whatever.
We go from wood to rocks.
Ash Williams, Joe Biden chimes in. Hey, fingers crossed for a Howard the Duck and Squirrel Girl Easter special. Yes, that is something that is hinted at twice.
We need a Squirrel Girl somewhere.
Yeah, but also at the very end with the post-credit scene, they hint at that there will be we need to have another special now.
Yeah.
And yes, and then Kevin Bacon says, I'll see you guys again at Easter. Mm. But is that now kind of like moot because James Gunn has moved on from the MCU? This was all done before he got the co-head job of DC Entertainment. So
yeah, but he always considered this third one to be the end of his trilogy. So I think it was always intended to close out Guardians of the Galaxy. And in fact, when he was fired, which is how he ended up doing the Suicide Squad, was that Disney fired him for old tweets he made when he was working at Troma, and being edgy was kind of his brand.
Which was bullshit, by the way, because at that time, it was because he was one of the loudest voices talking about a certain president who he had in office, and a lot of right-wing pundits weren't very happy with it, and they were the ones pulling up those old tweets, pretty much taking liberal cancel culture and turning it on him.
Yeah, basically. But he'd already finished the script, and I remember Dave Bautista at the time saying, like, okay, if we get another director, we need to do the script. So they felt so powerfully about the story that even when James Gunn wasn't going to get back and they resolved it, that he did come back for this. So I feel like all the three films are building to this. And we can surmise whether the characters will survive. We know we're getting a Secret Wars with everybody, so we may see these actors as these characters again, but I feel like however he's built these two films, this is going to be the culmination of that.
If you've already seen the trailer, I mean, they've wrapped up the Gamora story, kind of, resolving that with Endgame. The same you would say with Nebula. We've got a bit with Mantis here that they'll probably explore a bit, but the last character you really have to dig into with is Rocket, and you can tell that with the trailer that's he's probably going to bring it to an end. I swear to God, if Rocket dies, I riot.
I have a terrible feeling that that's happening, but I don't know. While we're talking about the trailer, we were kind of chatting about the Guardians 3 trailer, and we now have moved on to the 90s in terms of music.
Yeah, I'm really happy about it because my band is playing Space Hog Live.
Well,
I sent the guys in my band that trailer, and I was like, "Oh, people are gonna know this."
Well, since you bring up the music, let me say, okay, so there was enough music in this special to warrant its own album, and I'm wondering how much in residuals is Kevin Bacon getting for that song being on the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special album? I mean, come on.
He probably just added another wing onto his house.
The house that they used in the special. That
Really
Definitely.
not his house.
yeah,
With
that
more
was not-
security.
That's very
maybe.
much a house you buy for movie shoots.
Well, there's also a to kind of continue in that '90s theme of Guardians 3. There's a Smashing Pumpkins song in here.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
Or
that.
is it Smashing Pumpkins or is it?
song I've never heard.
Yeah,
We open with the Pogues. There's a lot of like more obscure Christmas songs. I believe over the credits they just play some Danny Elfman music from Nightmare Before Christmas because it's Disney. So it's like he doesn't go for any of the classics. I don't know the song that Kevin Bacon sings with the old '97.
That's definitely a new song. That's got to be a new song.
Yeah, but is it a Bacon Brothers song that that Kevin
Maybe.
Bacon brought? Did the old '97s write it? But it seems like the beginning and end are new songs.
and I want to say that song they play at the end is also used in the Ted Lasso Christmas special.
The Pokes?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I believe it is. That's become a staple over the last few years.
But that I don't think that's a Smashing Pumpkin song. I think it's a Billy Corrigan song.
Yeah, those are the years.
I looked it up. It was from like '92. So.
Oh, was it? Okay.
I think it's.
No, that's
old.
yeah.
I think it's it's a pretty old song.
And that's still the Pumpkins. Like Corrigan doesn't go solo until like the 2000s.
Yeah, it's definitely a '90s. I remember we were talking about this, trying to like get a pool going on which '90s songs are going to be in Guardians 3.
Well,
And
he
it was
does pick genres because I think it's not so much that he's going because we go from mid 70s and the second one's a little more early 80s but still 70s, so there is a jump. But then again, Peacemaker is all hair metal.
yeah.
So I know when he pitched the original Guardians, he came in with the playlist. So he's like Martin Scorsese. He's very particular about what needle drops he's going to do. And this felt like that, this special. I realized that, okay, there's a lot of stuff that hasn't been played to death. Obviously, there are songs that he put in Guardians 1 that are now played to death. That, come and get your love. I'd never heard before. And after that movie, everybody used it.
We'll make that a contest for the MCU ReVU. Go to the well, I'm not going to do it right now. The contest will be we'll hold it on the MCU ReVU Facebook page. Name 5 songs that you say that you believe will appear on the Guardians 3 soundtrack, and the folks who come up with the most correct guesses can win a prize.
I hate to use another DC reference, but because it's in the trailer doesn't necessarily mean it's in the movie. You remember the Smashing Pumpkin song was in the Watchmen trailer.
Yep.
And then you saw Watchmen and he played Times They Are A-Changin'.
Yep. So yeah, just because you see it in the trailer doesn't mean it's necessarily going to be in the movie.
I trust James Gunn more than I trust Zack Snyder, though, to get the needle drops right on this one.
Yeah, I trust him for the DC universe more than Zack Snyder too.
I'm through. I defended Zack Snyder yesterday on Caffeinated Comics. You're not going to see me do it again.
You didn't defend The Rock.
The Rock, who I actually like.
I watched, I think, the first 30 minutes of that movie last night. And
it's not going to get better.
It's not going to get better. No. I think I did that, and then I flipped back onto the holidays. No, I watched the holiday special first. And then going from the holiday special to that, because the holiday special it's short, it's sweet, but it's very well, you have James Gunn and the Guardians cast who are all very comfortable with these characters, and it flows very easily, and they're very, very good at their jobs. And then you go to that, and it's like, oh,
nobody's comfortable with their job.
It's not supposed to look like Guardians. It's not supposed to be as comfortable as Guardians of the Galaxy. We're lucky that we get that.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're right about the comfort, Tom, because Nebula is really comfortable in this, and her character is about being awkward and guarded. That it's nice to it's nice as an old Doctor Who fan. It's nice to see Karen Gillan have fun on camera again.
I always wonder. Oh, she didn't have to shave her head, did she? I think she has to shave her head every time she plays Nebula.
Shaved it for the first one.
Yeah.
First one, but she hasn't done that since.
No, really.
Figure out how to get any other Doctor Who companions into the MCU. We already have Jenna Coleman, Clara Oswald, who was in First Avenger.
Well, we have Missy and Doom Patrol. So
that's right. Yes, we have.
Closer. And we had Matt Smith and Morbius. So maybe we.
Let's Well, we
Since
need it. I don't
Morbius
count.
is an urban legend. Morbius didn't actually happen. That's an urban legend.
It's Morbin time. Oh goodness. Well, anyway, let's see. Anybody? I'm looking at the commentary here. All right. Well, let's switch gears for a bit. We all agree that the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, for those who have Disney Plus, is definitely worth the watch and even a rewatch, unlike Black Adam.
I do have one question about the holiday special, which we have brought up. The flashback that we get, which is a nice way of bringing Michael Rooker back. We have an animated flashback of when Peter Quill tries to introduce Christmas as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And there's obviously a lot of Gen X signposts here. The way this special begins is very CBS 70s, 80s. It's like the way they would introduce a Peanuts special at Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
But the rotoscoping of it kind of threw me off because I was like, well, this is clearly not the animation style of What If, which so it's not aping that. But I was trying to think, are there Christmas specials that were rotoscoped in that style? Because when I see that style of animation, I think Ralph Bakshi's Lord of the Rings.
I don't even think that. I really think more Beavis and Butthead. You know,
rotoscoping?
Not even rotoscoping, because it looked kind of like rotoscoping, but it was real too stiff for it to really seem like they were doing any, real, like they were having somebody act it out and then,
Yeah, the animation is choppy. So you're thinking the choppy animation.
Really choppy and quick. They had to do it quick.
See, I didn't get that reference because have you seen the Paramount Plus season of Beavis and Butthead?
Well, see, that's different. It's
nice and smooth.
But that's also, he was planning that. It's like, at one point, James Gunn said, "Oh, I want to do this, but now we got to do it animation style." Oh,
what about?
Okay, we got to find an animation studio, get some guy who's going to do this on his computer like really fast. Like
I wonder if he did rotoscope it.
Could maybe. Like
I think all three actors, well, maybe not Chris Pratt, but certainly Sean Gunn.
It's a young
Michael Rooker were there.
It's a young act. It's a young. It's a young person. I don't think you would have to necessarily even get Chris Pratt. No,
I think they got like a 13-year-old actor.
Yeah,
but
you could have that.
With that rotoscoping, it becomes so subtle, becomes uncanny valley. And even though the animation's choppy, just the body language is not something you would see even in What If, which is kind of CG realistic,
right?
Without being uncanny valley. So, but what do you think the choice? So you think it's a matter of speed, Elliot? The reason that style shows up?
Yeah, they just had to get it done quick, and something like that for what was it? All of 5 minutes total of animation. You could have 2 guys doing a computer, in a month. So that's what I was getting. That's what I got from it. But that again is me knowing how quickly they put this thing together, so.
Yeah, it was all an afterthought while they were making the third film. So
because if they had planned it out, James Gunn would have done it, stop motion, style with the little figures.
Little Rankin Bass,
yeah.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer style.
Yeah, kind of like the Always Sunny Christmas special.
Right. Or Ted Lasso did their opening credits that way.
Abed's Uncontrollable Christmas on Community.
There you go. That's another one. Yeah. No, they went more with the G.I. Joe episode, with the funky animation. But yeah, no, I just think they just needed to get it done quick. And that kind of animation you can do real quick. Real quick. All right. Now we're going on the second season of the MCU ReVU in 2023. As John said, we're going to be finishing out with Infinity War and Endgame, and then going into everything beyond that. And that's going to be something. We're also going to be looking at different starting up some new segments for the show. Of course, popular segments like the review cocktails will stick around. Yes, John's feature of Marvel Legends toys will continue.
Yeah, there were no Marvel Legends toys for the holiday special. I'm assuming all those looks will come next year when the third movie's out, but I don't have anything on my desk.
No Guardians, anything. There was
No,
nothing.
well, we showed them for 1 and 2, and their
Yeah.
looks are pretty different. So it wasn't worth I wasn't going to show you Drax again.
Right. This is true. So looking back at 2022, let's say we go around the horn and talk about what was our favorite episode or your favorite movie that we talked about this past season. Now, Dave is not here. Dave Pinto is getting his car worked on, so he couldn't be on. And I think it's because I also told him that he couldn't just come on and rave about the episodes where we got to talk about the White Sox. So, Tom, I'm going to tell you the same thing.
Okay. All right. Okay. So that was that. I guess that rules out Captain America Civil War. Captain America Winter Soldier, where we had our 20-minute long White Sox segment with Lawrence on that one.
Yes.
Okay. So knocking that one out.
Unless it was your favorite. Yeah.
I would say.
Man,
it's really hard. It's hard, but I'm probably gonna go with Thor Ragnarok, because that's one where I had a little bit of the scenery change, where I was behind a bar for that one. And if you watch the video stream closely, you can see me sneaking myself a second drink over the course of that episode, and you can I've seen it, and my condition does deteriorate a little bit over the course of the episode with my second Mai Tai. But also, I really enjoyed that drink. We had a lot of fun talking with Connor about Ragnarok. It's a terrific movie. I don't think there's been one that I haven't had a ton of fun on. Certainly our Spider-Man Homecoming one was great. We had a ton of fun on that one. I think that doesn't slide into my number one spot just because I think I could have done a better job on the cocktail that particular episode. But yeah, that's what I'm going to go with.
I will say that is the one episode this past season where I watched it as an audience member. I couldn't make it that night. And, I told you guys, I'm waiting to see how long it takes you to get into White Sox talk. And wow, I was impressed at the amount of restraint you guys showed, at least on air.
I kept steering them away.
Plus, you do a pretty good Korg, Tom. You do. I think you do.
Oh, God! I thank you. I was really worried. My New Zealand accent was terrible when I was doing that.
Well, you were obviously drunk at the time. So
yeah. Well, there's a lot of Smith and Cross. There's a full ounce of Smith and Cross in that. That's 57% alcohol. So.
Wow.
It's so good. It's God save me from Jamaican rums. Yeah, but I thought that was honestly it's the one I still make it at home. That's the one of the drinks from the show that I still make at home when I can get access to blood orange juice, because I really enjoy it. So, and
again, that cocktail you can find also on the Instagram account ReVU Cocktails. What about you, John? What if any? What was your favorite episode of this season?
Well, I was going to steal yours because I imagine you're going to say Spider-Man: Homecoming. You had the most fun on that, and that was a lot of fun for me because that's a movie that's near and dear to my heart. As I said, Spider-Man's my favorite character. They shot it in my neighborhood. My friend is the vice principal of that school, and Dan Chichester came on, who is an old friend who. Elliot was very, very happy to meet, and he had a lot of great things to say, and I hadn't talked to him in a long time. So I really did love that episode, but reaching back, I also really liked the first Thor, which, Tom, I know you weren't a part of, but that's when we had Mike Drucker on, who was the head writer of the late lamented Full Frontal with Samantha Bee, and another really good old friend of mine who wanted to talk about a movie that was harder to talk about. That's why I chose that one. And also gave us a real look inside the writer's room. We had a lot of questions to ask him about how you write a topical show, and he was completely open, and he will have more Twitter followers than any of us when Twitter crashes and burns. He will still have a bigger following than any of us. But and then also now I'm just picking them because I'm not ranking them. But I also always like talking to Dr. Susanna Flores. So Dr. Strange was she had a lot of great insights, and in Civil War she did too.
That was a good one.
Trauma and repressed processing. So that went places I didn't think it was going to go. Now I picked all of them. So Elliot, you can.
Oh no, it's fine because I was saying, and Dr. Flores is actually she's been asking when she can come back. So she was a great guest. She had fun too.
No, she could have come back tonight.
No, she could have. Yeah. I would have been dropping it on her at the last second. Okay, my favorite, I will say, and it was a fun one because we had to riff the whole time, and our guest did not see the movie or saw the wrong one. That would be
Iron Man 2.
Iron Man 2, Michelle Soleo.
Yeah, Michelle Soleo, another old friend of mine from college. Tom, you weren't on that one, but she accidentally watched Iron Man 1.
Oh dear.
So a lot of that podcast was us explaining Iron Man 2. But she had a lot of great riffs on it.
That's good.
Because I mean, Michelle is like you. I would consider her almost comic book royalty. What her family's from.
Yep. Her father was an artist for Mad Magazine for a long, long time. She had her own reality show on Oprah's network for a little bit, so she knows what to do in front of a camera. Mm-hmm. And as I said, we've been friends since the early to mid '90s. So she's always somebody I love talking to.
I was just amused because I tried making the parallel about how Marvel movies are like the Super Bowl, that not everyone who's a football fan necessarily watches not everyone who's a football fan necessarily watches the Super Bowl, but you have a lot of non-football fans watching the Super Bowl because all the hype surrounding them. And I tried making the parallel that a lot of Marvel movies are like that because it's not that people are comic book fans or in general, but a particular Marvel movie comes around, they hear all the hype about it, they go to see it, hence why the Marvel movies do so well. The fact that I even tried to make a parallel between arts and comics with sports offended her to her core. She said even during the Super Bowl, they go watch a musical. She hates sports so much.
She also had a lot of great stories about how her dad never trusted Stan Lee.
Oh, yeah. That was fun. Yeah. Oh, but then I got to tell a story about Jim Steranko that she'd never heard. So that was fun. And Michelle, we've got to have on again because she was a great guest. We had so many great guests, and I wish we could. Of course, it's always difficult. People have schedule issues, and they can't.
Well, that's been the most fun about this podcast for me, and that's what I was hoping when we started this, is that I would get to meet people that I haven't met before, that had never done the podcast because I didn't know them, like through you guys, and Tom's one of those people, and vice versa. It was like it's like having a really cool dinner party, and you get to introduce a guest to the dinner party every week.
I guess that makes me the guest who'd never left.
Well, you started mixing the drinks.
Yeah, right. It's like you started making it at that point. We're like, okay, it was a fun little transition how you went from Shaken Not Heard over here to the MCU ReVU, because we were talking drinks with you over on Shaken Not Heard, and then boom, I was like, oh, look at this. What podcast? I can't think of any other podcast that has their own mixologist that creates drinks for the show. I think we're it.
I think we might be it. And I'm when we did that Shaken Not Heard, that was like a 2.5 hour show.
Yes.
It was a very long show. We were all very, very intoxicated by the end of it.
Oh yeah. This was back when I was like, well, if we're going to stream on Twitch wants you to go for at least 2 hours. So I was like, oh, let's go. But boy, I think the one that was the most amusing, let's for those who've never seen Shaken Not Heard, you can go to facebook.com/Shaken Not Heard. It's the only show that's all video. We don't have a podcast version of it, so you have to see it on the Facebook page. But yes, Dave, my co-host then, who's a part of the MCU ReVU now, gets noticeably drunker as the show goes along. and for those who know Dave, he's kind of a straight-laced dude. You know, he's not the kind of guy you expect to, you know, maybe imbibe a bit more. But he was getting noticeably happier as he went along.
It's wild because you had me come up with the I think probably some of it has to do with the fact that there's not that much to talk about when it comes to Thor: The Dark World. So
Yeah.
It's just like, Tom, come up with a drink. Like, all right, no problem. Look up, then we'll have something else that will fill 10 minutes of airtime when we have to talk about this movie that they made.
But the drink made it all go easier.
They made it go easier. That was a good. That might be actually one of my favorite drinks, going all the way back, because that is one of the weirder ones that we've come up with. Because truth be told, I had never invented a drink out of whole cloth, really, until doing the show, and now I do it every other week or in the middle of the night when John decides he's gone to a really nice restaurant that he likes.
And he messages you.
That was one text, and then you stayed up all night. I was like, oh, maybe in a week or two. Well, or John will just tell me how you make one of these. And at like 3 a.m, you're like, I've done it. Literally, like Erlenmeyer flasks and beakers.
He was like Doc Brown after he hit his head on the toilet.
Yeah, he was like Gale in Breaking Bad making the coffee in the meth lab.
1.21 gigawatts. What? I've got to do what with milk? What?
That sounds kind of wrong when you say it like that.
So that's the kind of fun you're going to have hanging out with us here on the MCU ReVU. Let's any more reflections either on the holiday special or on 2022, or how about things that we hope to see in 2023?
I really hope this third movie coming up for Guardians is good.
Yeah,
it's not guaranteed, but it's been this trilogy. When we went through the movies here, the first 2 movies have been so good, and their appearances in Infinity War and Endgame also have been terrific. So you really want this to not kind of Rise of Skywalker the landing on this one.
Well, you know that if Guardians 3 isn't like really good or great, you're going to be hearing the rumblings about people complaining about James Gunn, being again the co-head of DC Films, because they're like, oh, they gave this guy, the keys to the kingdom over there, and now he can't even finish his own stories, and there's also talk
Snyder
that
fans aren't going down quietly.
Well, half of them are bots.
Regardless, but I have faith in this because, as I said, James Gunn came back for this. This is his Marvel swan song. He's only gotten better and better. I mean, we were talking about it on this podcast. Peacemaker's better than either of the Guardians films, so he's just going up and up and up. I have more reservations about what he's going to do at DC. Like if he's going to make Peacemaker and another Suicide Squad and run the place, that's a bigger issue. But I think Guardians is going to be really strong. And in 2023, for what's been announced, I mean, there's things down the road I want to know about. I want to know more about the Fantastic Four film. I want to know more about whether we're getting a 4th Tom Holland Spider-Man. But I think for what we know is happening in 2023, I'm very interested to see how Disney Plus resurrects Daredevil. Will it be a season 4 of Netflix, which they have, or will it be a soft reboot?
I'm going to push back a little bit on Peacemaker being better than Guardians. Maybe Peacemaker, we like it. You and I might like it because it's more to our bit. But I think Guardians, for what it should be, meaning it has to be more accessible to all ages,
Yeah, and it's apples to oranges because we're comparing an 8-episode streaming show to 2 blockbuster movies.
Right.
But I was most impressed by James Gunn's writing and directing on Peacemaker more than Guardians of that.
I will say I was surprised. I was surprised that with the Guardians movies, I'm always surprised that James Gunn has that heart to it. That, yes, is also it comes out later in Peacemaker. Again, with Guardians 3, I think it's Dave said in one episode where he just hoped. No, it wasn't Dave. It was Steve. Steve Brown, your other host on Caffeinated Comics, says that he just doesn't want it to be stupid jokes. It's what he's afraid of, that James Gunn can write with heart, but then it gets lost in all the dumb jokes.
Yeah, I think the only thing more surprising about James Gunn's heart is James Gunn's amazing taste in women.
Man.
Was married to Pam from The Office.
Yeah.
Now married to Harcourt on Peacemaker.
Yeah, boy.
He's doing all right.
Some guys, I tell you,
he's got no brown in his hair left, and he's doing fine.
Man, I don't. Can I? If I've got to lose all, if I got to go all gray for that, I'll do it. This is the point of the show when I come out as like incredibly shallow, as I tend to do.
Is this the part where you compliment our things too much?
And I'm also I am going to stop with the references to everyone else's wives, girlfriends, whatever. I'm going to stop with that because I re-listened to the one with Dan Chichester, and I was like, oh yeah, I do sound really pathetic there. So I'm going to quit that. It's not really. I thought it was funny. It didn't come across that way. That joke was not landing.
Yeah, that reminds me of something else about you, which I won't bring up again.
But now.
Well, I'm not going to name it, but let's just say it was Elliot making jokes about women in front of a crowd.
Oh God. Yeah, let's not that even if I were sitting in the audience that day, I would have been like, boo this man.
I was sitting in the audience and I was like, come here.
Boo this man. That was bad. That was that. There are things that if I could go back and change them. No,
you take risks in comedy.
It's just not worth it. Not worth it. Anyway, Tom is like totally unaware of any of this stuff that goes on. This is really kind of inside baseball.
It's inside baseball. Yeah.
Embarrassed Elliot, so I don't feel like I should humiliate him by going over.
No, there's no need to do. There's no need to do that. In fairness, I think when the Doctor Strange episode was going in, I was a little bit rubbing it in because I was in Italy a little bit. So I was kind of, admittedly, I was rubbing it in a little bit. With all the Italy
son of a.
Oh yeah, you had all the pictures. If you had those pictures of that landscape with me, Elliot would have been jealous.
I'd be like, what?
Those are two very happy people in those pictures.
God, everyone is happy. Everyone is so happy.
Some of us are rewatching the Matt Reeves Batman.
Oh, you poor devils.
Funny that you bring up Batman. I was cracking up that they reference Batman. They reference.
Oh yeah,
Batman.
I meant to bring that up. So the DC Comics exists in the MCU.
Yeah,
I love that because he said Kevin Bacon says, "I'm Batman. I mean, I'm Bruce Wayne."
Who's that?
Who's that?
I'm surprised Warner Brothers let them. Maybe because James Gunn. Maybe that was the. They were like, "All right, you're coming."
It's one of these things where it's what's the thing from the mathematical equation from A Beautiful Mind, where there's a limit to where like cooperation over competition in certain circumstances. So just a little more recognition it just benefits DC to get that little extra bite at a time when some positive name recognition at an otherwise horrifying moment for them.
That's their own fault. I think that's not the first time, though. It seems like Bruce Wayne and Batman gets referenced in Marvel movies or in the Marvel universe more often. I think I have seen
She-Hulk did a reference.
She-Hulk, yes.
Hmm.
But also in the comics, there was even the one this was a while back when Walt Simonson has Clark Kent appear in Thor, and they do the bit where he goes, "Is it? Nah." I mean, and it's freaking Clark Kent. You can tell it's Clark Kent, and they like doing that little. That's back when they could wink at each other.
Yeah, that's back when they weren't such big companies, and the talent was going from one to the other. So everybody had worked at both.
Yeah. But
although
now,
speaking of crossovers, I just won an eBay auction for the second Batman Spider-Man crossover, which was I believe both of them were written by J.M. DeMatteis. The Marvel version had Joker and Carnage and was drawn by Bagley, and the DC one, which I just got, was Kingpin and Ra's al Ghul, drawn by Graham Nolan.
Yeah, I've got it.
And
you wanted that one?
Never be reprinted ever again.
I've got it in a box somewhere. You should have just told me you wanted it.
I went through all your boxes. I didn't see it.
I have it in there. I have all the crossovers. They're just all scattered and.
Yeah, well, judging by when they did a quick print run of JLA Avengers after George Perez died, and people were auctioning off tickets to buy it.
Yeah,
we're not going to see a lot of reprints of Marvel DC.
No. That is a one time when I will tell you I don't think you're an evil person for torrenting it, because I'm telling you, this baby right here, from my cold dead hands.
That was one of those where I sold the original issues to get that Absolute.
Well, and I have the originals too.
I don't have the originals anymore because I have the Absolute.
Yeah, and it's funny. I saw my little brother over this past weekend for our family Christmas get together, and I told him I had the originals, and he goes, "Oh, well, can I have them?" And I went, "Yeah, you can have them when I die." And he goes, "And then hurry up and die, old man." Like, my baby brother's gonna get all my comics when I die. He can have them, so then he can deal with all that other stuff, because I'm not going to care anymore, because I'm going to be dead. Anyway. And on that note, on that note. All right. I'm sorry, Tom, looking towards the future of 2023 with the MCU ReVU. Did I give you a chance to say what you're hoping for?
Oh, yeah, I was saying I was hoping Guardians 3 was good.
Yeah.
Okay, kind of a very kind of basic. I hadn't thought about Daredevil. I was really into Daredevil when the Netflix show. That was something that my wife and I just really enjoyed. My wife is a big fan of the Stardust movie with Charlie Cox. So
and just seeing the way they've reintroduced both Vincent D'Onofrio and Charlie Cox into Hawkeye and She-Hulk.
Yes,
and even more excited.
And No Way Home, and No Way Home.
Yeah, that it'll surpass the Netflix show, which, because obviously Disney Plus has budgets that Netflix was not privy to.
Yeah, and I think I'm interested in seeing the quality of the fight choreography, because that's something that I pay attention to in movies. It's something that I noted very specifically about the first John Wick movie, and I can tell when it's bad as well. And also Captain America: Winter Soldier, how clean it is, how well they shoot it. So Daredevil set a lot of the standard on Netflix for how to do good fight choreography, particularly with the hallway sequences. So I'm hoping some of that is able to continue. They got the whole one-shot thing, I think, by season 3 kind of jumped the shark a little bit, but they just need something as up to that quality. So I'm interested in seeing that coming back. As far as any other, we're going to get more Loki, and we're going to get more. We're going to get Quantumania. Side note: I am really curious as to what William Jackson Harper is doing in Quantumania, because my hope is that he's playing some variant of Reed Richards. That they do the John, at the minimum, that they do the John. Ideally, he's my Mr. Fantastic for the MCU. But just having them do what they did with John Krasinski. Also, we get Spider-Verse. Don't we get another Spider-Verse?
Yeah, we're getting. Yeah, we just had a trailer for it dropped this
Yeah.
week. We're getting Across the Spider-Verse in June. Same month we're getting Indiana Jones 5.
Alas, Across the Spider-Verse is not an MCU film, though.
No, but it did introduce the multiverse idea to a mainstream audience. So
Yes.
I think without Spider-Verse, we don't have Loki and we don't have Multiverse of Madness.
Technically, we got it in Doctor Strange 1. That was fall.
There was a mention, and there's a mention in Far From Home about the 616 universe, but
Yeah.
those could have been just throwaway Easter egg lines. You know, like how we had the Infinity Gauntlet in Thor 1.
Yeah.
Well, looking ahead to 2023, I'm of course looking forward to closing out the phases that I cared about, because I've been struggling with. I'm going to be honest. Once Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans were gone, it's been hard for me to really muster up the same amount of I guess interest with the phases beyond that. I even told myself that, you know what, this is the station on the train while I step off at this stop and let the train go, and maybe I'll get on again at some point down the line. We'll discuss how that's been, although I know there's a lot of criticism of the MCU now post Endgame, that people say it lacks a cohesiveness or whatever, or it doesn't seem as well planned. When, as we're looking back at phases 1 through 4, it's all over the place. So why people think the first phases were executed better?
There's a lot more retconning.
Yeah.
Than you think. The Tesseract wasn't supposed to be an Infinity Stone.
Yeah.
Oh.
So even though the storytelling has been a little bit more consistent with the MCU post Endgame, it just hasn't gotten me involved. If anything, I'm grateful that the majority of it is a lot of it's on Disney Plus, and I don't have to go to a theater to watch it. In fact, I still haven't gone to the theater to see Wakanda Forever, and I'm going to wait for it to show up on Disney Plus probably in January, as they have already teased in the most recent ad about Disney Plus in 2023.
I'm going to try to take my wife. My wife still hasn't seen Wakanda Forever. I'm going to try to take her to. We haven't been to a movie together it's been for the pandemic. It's just like, so.
Well, that's a shame. That's a shame that you go to see Wakanda Forever without her or any of your friends that you were supposed to see it with.
I'm not ganging up on that. I had to take my kids to it.
So when it comes to teasing somebody, ribbing somebody, there's my little bullet in the chamber.
Oh, believe me, my wife made fun of me for doing just that last night. So
I'm starting to think we need Dave to smooth things over.
I know Dave has to act as a buffer.
Yeah, Dave, he's too nice.
He is. All right.
Oh, Dave, do you want an example of how nice Dave is? Dave came by my house yesterday to pick up the hot chocolate packets and the punch and the orgeat, and he brought me a container full of snickerdoodle cookies with a eggnog glaze that were just delicious. And Dave, when you're watching this, they are already less than 24 hours since you gave them to me. They are already gone.
Wow. Well,
I live in a house with 2 kids who love dessert, so
and we know we can't lose you, so that there was nothing in there that was going to do anything to you. So, we got to keep Tom around. He's an asset. But we already know if we want to knock you off, snickerdoodle cookies. He's a lawyer. Oh, well. Going forward into 2023, I'm also looking forward to some new segments that we'll be creating, as well as the many drinks that Tom will be creating, not just for the MCU ReVU, but also for our new Indiana Jones themed podcast. Yes, we've been talking about it. I've already talked about it on the Caffeinated Comics podcast. If if you are as big a fan of Indiana Jones as many of us are, you will definitely want to tune in. Coming in 2023, it is going to be called Top Men and Indiana Jones Podcast. We already have a Facebook page set up for it. We'll be streaming the show on Facebook Live, Twitch, and YouTube, just like we do the MCU ReVU. So if you want to go to Facebook and search for Top Men and Indiana Jones Podcast, please give us a like and look for Top Men and Indiana Jones Podcast on YouTube. So you can give us a like and subscribe and get a notification when the first episode goes up. We're going to be following the same format, well, a couple tweaks here and there, but the same format as the MCU ReVU. But I already booked our first guest for Top Men. I'm really excited to have him on. I won't say who it is yet, so as not to jinx it. But I am really excited to have him on. He's actually someone who has worked for Lucasfilm and, yes, was involved with Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull to an extent. So this is going to be fun. So, again, Top Men and Indiana Jones Podcast. We will be starting with Raiders of the Lost Ark and do one episode a month. We already have the drink that Tom has created for the first show. In fact, you've already mapped out what the drinks are going to be.
Yes, all four, I think, going up until all four of the movies that have come out have already been mapped up and spec'd. And based off of what we know about the upcoming fifth movie, I have an idea, and I just kind of need to tweak it. So I also need to buy a bottle of Pisco. So
it'll be fun, some fun stuff.
There'll be some good.
Thanks to the Hasbro announcement, we will have new toys.
And yes,
maybe even by the time we record these, but Hasbro has announced that they are doing a 6-inch multi-articulated line like Star Wars Black and like Marvel Legends of all 5 films. So, and I'm going to get all of them.
I know. I was just thinking about that too. I was like, oh, I don't know what I can do. I got no, whatever. You've berated me enough for having a house and yet not enough space for all my stuff. All right. Well, thank you, Lehman. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, P.L. Myers. Thank you, Sally. Thank you, everyone who's been watching on the Facebook, Twitch, and Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube pages. Whether you've been watching us live or you watching this show as part of our video archive, we really do appreciate you checking us out. Please, wherever you find us, make sure you give us a like, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, click for those notifications so you know when the next episode is going to go up. Also, feel free to write to us or comment. I do read all comments. If you ever want to let us know how you think and you couldn't watch a show live, I do get alerts even afterwards. And do I have it here? No. Anyway, going forward into 2023, we will have more shows, and now we're going to be incorporating the shows on Disney Plus as well. So it'll be the movies and the shows on Disney Plus, where we hope to have even more guests, hopefully even some folks who were involved with the production of said shows. So fingers crossed, this will work out. And the more folks support us, the more subscribers we get, the more juice we can have to book those particular guests. Lehman, thank you. Everyone, you guys are awesome. You're great fans. Thank you for your support every time. So before we go, one last time around the horn on our socials, Tom, where can people find you?
You can find Santa's powerful flamethrower and all the drinks from every episode of the show that I've been on, going back to Thor: The Dark World at REVU Cocktails, spelled the usual way, on the Instagram app, including a bunch of classic and tiki cocktails that if I decide to make one night, I'll throw that on there too. And I'll probably throw, we just decided that John's clarified milk punch is going to be, what did we just said it was going to be the Captain American First Avenger?
Sure,
one?
we didn't do the one.
What did we had a name for it.
His vibe to it.
Yeah. So we're going to throw that one on there too and just call that our First Avenger cocktail. So I'll get a picture of that up in the next couple of days or something like that.
And John?
You can follow the podcast if you're watching this on video. You can hear the audio feed on Captain Comics, but we do an episode every week. As we mentioned before, this week Elliot and I discussed Black Adam, which we had a lot to talk about there. But it also led into this conversation because we talked about how James Gunn taking over the DC movie invalidates or validates this movie. And you can find Captain Comics wherever you get podcasts, from Stitcher to Amazon to Apple Podcasts. And we are a proud part of the Radio Misfits Podcast Network, who Elliot and I have been working with for a long, long time. And you can also find me at Not on My Book on Instagram, which is mostly pictures of toys and will definitely be pictures of Indiana Jones toys the moment they're released from any distributor.
Those babies will be going on the Top Men Indie Podcast Instagram as well.
And one is a Target exclusive, so it's going to be a pain in the ass.
Is that the tuxedo one? Is that
Temple of Doom, Indiana Jones tuxedo.
Yeah, that one's a must-have. That one I will definitely have. I was going through all my stuff and looking at what I've got so far, and that was the one I'm really missing. So, plus I'm going through my props. If anyone's got a line on a decent Grail diary replica, let me know. I'm suddenly got a hankering for a Grail diary replica to go next to my Holy Grail.
I have a 6 scale one.
Yeah, I know the little boo boo one. Yeah,
the little one that fits in the
in a hand. I want I see a lot of them are producing them now, but I don't know. Oh well. And I am Elliot Serrano. You can find me across all social media platforms with my name with at Elliot Serrano, 2 L's, 2 T's, and 2 R's. This has been a great year, guys. Thank you so much. I want to say I haven't said it already. Thank you, John. Thank you, Tom. Dave, too, who's not here. Thank you guys for saying, hey, you want to be a part of this show. When I threw the idea out, you guys were all happily on board. John gladly makes this podcast a part of his own show. I appreciate that. Thank you to everyone who watches. Have a happy and safe holiday season. We hope you all had a great 2022 and looking forward to 2023. Folks, we're going to walk in slow. Don't touch anything. No sudden movements. We don't want to startle it and have it come after us. So just respect it and we'll be fine.
It's going to be like a new cat. We're going to keep it in the bathroom for a week. And when it's ready to explore the hallway, it'll
come out. We got to ease 2023 into things. All right. That's a great analogy. Good night, everyone.